Hey everyone, welcome to the Equal Value Podcast. My name is Lisa. I'm your host. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit called Black, Brown, and Diverse Plant-Based People for Equity, also known as BBDPPE. You can find us at www.equalvalueforall.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can hit anywhere you see a donate button. If you'd like to donate to us, that money goes directly to giving people free plant-based food. And that is about probably $30 per bag of food per person. Just as an introduction, since we're only on our fourth episode, I'd like to let people know a little bit about myself. I'm a plant-based person who comes from a position of equity. So we talk about all kinds of things on this podcast coming from that perspective. Excuse me. So today, like I just mentioned, today is our fourth episode, just a quick check-in. And this is going to be exactly what the title says. It's going to be a plant-based rant, basically. And it's not a rant about being plant-based because we don't like being plant-based. It's because we do like being plant-based, if you're confused by that title. So this past week, PETA took a couple of hits, which is why I decided to talk about this today. Took a couple of hits from people in the media. The first one from Pete Davidson about the fact that he wanted to purchase a dog from a breeder, which PETA is against. And the second one from Charlamagne the God, who's a personality on a radio show, which they posted the podcast on YouTube. If you ever want to check that out for any reason, it's called The Breakfast Club. But so Charlamagne joked about a statement that the head of PETA made. I forget her full name, but I know her first name is Ingrid. She made a joke about the fact that when she dies, she said she wants people to like barbecue her flesh and eat her after she dies so they can get the point about how eating the flesh of an animal, including a human being, is wrong. So he made a joke about that. And then he also talked earlier last week, he had like a guest host on. They have guest hosts periodically. His name is Nav Green, I think, who is a plant-based person. And Nav mentioned how he gained weight from eating plant-based and he didn't understand how. And he said, he just talked about how he goes to like a vegan burger place in Atlanta and he's like, I eat like 3 vegan burgers at once in one sitting. And so Charlamagne was like, well, you can't eat all that, processed stuff, that'll make you gain weight. And he's also said in the past that, eating vegan stuff that's processed is probably bad for you because it's processed, you don't know what it's made from. It's not like you're actually eating fruits and vegetables, which I get the idea of that, but still he's misinformed in my opinion. So anyway, just to kind of address that, first of all, about being plant-based. First, PETA gets a lot of this hate toward it because they need to more consistently, in my opinion, spread their message to different people. They have this message that they put out there in different ways. They have a big platform, but they don't necessarily go into all different types of communities across cultures. And that includes, younger people, hip hop cultures, whatever it may be. That includes going into those cultures and meeting people where they are and spreading those messages, especially to underserved communities. Then people wouldn't always take everything they say as a joke, I don't think. Second, I also think that people might not take being plant-based serious, might not take being plant-based so much as a joke if they more considered the fact that you're not just looking at it as a point from protecting animals, because that's not enough for some people, because they don't see all animals as having the need to be protected. But if they thought about it more in terms of like their health, the health benefits of it, and the things that they're even actually supposed to be eating, never mind the fact that many animals are, smarter than people may realize. And so, that's just doesn't make any sense, but it's a plus if you add that on to the fact that if you think about it in terms of your health and what exactly that your body is supposed to be eating and digesting anyway, all that stuff would just work out more positively in the end. So, okay, first of all, when you talk about being plant-based in terms of your health, the human beings Whether you believe in the theory of evolution or not, our digestive systems are most similar to that of primates. What do primates eat? Okay, you think about a gorilla, like what would a gorilla eat that's like 300, 400 pounds? Does it eat other animals? No. It eats bananas, fruits. Primates, they eat flowers in the forest. And I'm saying this, I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying. But all people, our digestive systems are more similar to theirs. We have about 30 feet of intestines in our bodies, all wrapped up and wound up the large intestine, small intestine, going throughout your stomach and down your body until you digest something. Those are the same systems that we have. Now, animals in the wild, so you take a lion or a tiger, think about how their body's like long, stretched out, like kind of in the shape of like a dog or something. They've got about 7 feet of intestine that go through their body in that long area and then it comes out. So they're more easily able to digest something like an animal that they would hunt and eat to survive in the wild because it goes in and comes out. Now, as a human, when you're trying to put something like that in your body, a dead animal, just to be honest, when you're trying to put that in your body and have it go sitting there and go through all those like 30 feet of intestines, it's winding, all wound around, it's not, it's going to be a difficult process, which is why it takes the human body probably about 3 days to digest meat. And you're talking about meat sitting in your human body. Human body's temperature is about 98.6 degrees on average. That's about 100 degrees that that meat is sitting in your body while your body tries to digest it for 3 days. So think about if you left some meat out on a hot sidewalk in 100-degree temperatures for 3 days. So go back and look at it after 3 days and see what that looks like. That's the same thing it's doing in your body while it's sitting in your body for that amount of time. And if you can even digest, all the meat that you eat at all, your body can't even digest all of it. I mean, people have died and still have undigested animal products, animals and meat, which is what meat is in your body. So that is why many people, many physicians and doctors think that eating meat, animal products, meat, things that come animals, things that come from animals in your body, which your body cannot process properly, contributes to things that are symptoms of that poor diet. So that's number one, just looking at it in that way. And we can go on and on in many ways about why you're not supposed to be eating that sort of thing, but I'll just try to keep it there for now. So number two, when Charlemagne said that, when he makes these comments about not eating processed foods, like I said, get that. Many physicians and plant-based people, they're people who practice eating whole foods, plant-based diets. They keep processed foods to a minimum. But I will say that anything that you eat that's processed, that is plant-based, also known as being vegan with no animal products, is going to be way better for you than eating a dead animal, which is what meat is. And I'm just going to say that honestly so that people really try to get this picture. Because if you can make like a fake meat product, say like a fake, like a plant-based chicken patty, which you can get those at Walmart, like the Boca brand for like $3.50, I think they cost. If you can make that from a soybean out of soy, then more power to you. So, and it tastes just like a regular chicken patty, pretty much like, which probably means that chicken patties that you eat have probably been filled with soy as some of the ingredients anyway, but you wouldn't know the difference. So I would advise people to like try some of those things. Even you try Meatless Monday, experiment with some of those things because it wouldn't be like you're eating something you never had before. You'd be like, oh, this tastes like, a regular chicken patty. Like I had a friend a while ago that she tried like some almond milk and some cereal I gave her. She was like, it tastes just like regular milk. So people are like misinformed, they misconstrue things. And when you have a platform like that on the Breakfast Club, you have to make sure that you know what you're saying, and he's not completely incorrect, but believe me, like eating processed plant-based foods or vegan foods is nowhere near in any way, shape, or form as bad for you as eating dead animals. You don't need it. Like I already said, I mentioned some of the things that primates who have the same digestive systems as we do, but they eat is like, imagine if you ate a banana, like they eat bananas, say how filling a banana is. If you ate a bunch of bananas, how full do you think you would be? These are the things that you should be eating: bananas, fruits, whatever, flowers, plants, vegetables, all the things that we know we should eat, and we're just supposed to eat more of those things, which is why doctors have always said you should eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, because that's really what you're supposed to be eating. Now, however you choose to get those is up to you, but believe me, in whatever way you choose to get those, it's not going to be as bad as as eating animals or animal products. And so the other thing about that is that because Nav Green mentioned like how he would eat like those 3 like burgers, like plant-based burgers in one sitting. So the restaurant he was talking about, he mentioned, I think it was Slutty Vegan in Atlanta or something. So that restaurant, which is really popular now, like it's like a fast food place with like vegan burgers and stuff. He's eating 3 burgers in one sitting, so he gained weight. He's gained weight because of the portion size. It's not because it's processed, if you ask me. I mean, no one is gonna probably go to Slutty Vegan and sit down and eat like 3 one-night stands like what he mentioned, which is like burgers. First of all, those burgers cost like $15 to $20. So you're spending $60. Nobody's going to go to a fast food restaurant and sit down and say, unless they got it like that, which he obviously does, because we know that, the people in these positions with these platforms have an overabundance of wealth and privilege, which is also something we usually talk about on this podcast. But anyway, so it just relates to this here because this is likely why he is gaining weight. If you overeat in any capacity, no matter what it is, you're going to add some weight on your body. But like I said, don't worry, because nothing is going to be as bad as that weight coming from, dead animals or the products that come from those animals on your body. And by those, I mean, eggs, dairy, butter, milk, cheese. There's vegan versions of all that stuff that tastes exactly the same as the regular stuff, like I just said a couple minutes ago. And that stuff that you would be eating that comes from animals is not meant for you to digest. Just another quick note: milk that comes from cows, which is what regular cow milk, butter, cheese, that stuff is made from, is meant to raise a baby calf into a 400-pound animal. So it's no surprise that people end up with, being overweight, obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, being obese, things like that, heart conditions with these problems, because they're not meant to be putting that into their bodies, because it's not for them. Never mind eating the entire animal. And cows don't even eat meat. I mean, so the animals that we eat don't even eat other animals, if that makes any sense. Cows, they eat grass, they graze on grass. Pigs, smart animals. People say that pigs are as smart as a toddler, and they don't eat other animals. So we're actually eating things, like I say, that just aren't meant for our system, and other animals know better than to do this. So the other problem with this, moving on from that, is that finally, I'm just going to talk about what your body basically needs, bottom line. So basically, the human body's digestion functions from good germs that are called probiotics. A lot of people may know about this because in the last, in the last few years or so, there was like a big probiotic craze where a lot of people were, really using probiotics, which you want to make sure you get plant-based probiotics because, like I said, some of them have dairy in them, and that is something that's foreign to your body, which can cause problems to your body. So anyway, but no matter what the case is, probiotics, they grow in your body, the good germs in your body that actually digest what you eat, because those germs or probiotics eat what you eat. That is how your digestion works. So, and when they eat, they multiply, and your digestion functions properly. We also know in the last few years that we learned that your digestion is 80% of your immune system. So in these times when you have things like COVID and who else knows what viruses and things like that, you want to make sure that your immune system is functioning properly. And even without those things, you want to make sure it's functioning properly, I would imagine. So anyway, so probiotics eat what you eat, like I said. And so what do probiotics eat? Probiotics eat something called prebiotics. So prebiotics are vegetables, nuts, fruits, plants, legumes, all that sort of thing. There's a whole list. You can look up prebiotics on Google, and you'll see a list of what they are, what probiotics eat to multiply in your body and keep your digestion going. And if you eat what they eat, they will multiply by themselves. You will not have to take a supplement like many people do because they'll do it naturally. But anyway, so what do probiotics not eat? This is the important part. Probiotics do not eat animals. They do not eat meat. They do not eat animal products. They do not eat dairy. They do not eat cheese. They do not eat eggs. So you are putting something, that is why when you're putting things into your body cannot digest it. So I would just encourage everyone to learn about what you want to put into your body, learn what prebiotics are, then you will have probiotics in your body that can function on their own. You will have what is called a symbiotic diet. When you have probiotics, you allow those probiotics to multiply by eating the proper prebiotics, which is just whatever they eat, and it's not, like I said, animals or animal products. So anyway, I would just encourage everyone to learn about what you want to put into your body because no one is going to tell you, because in this country, meat and dairy are big industries. So they're not going to tell you not to eat that stuff because they want to sell that stuff to you, especially at these prices. Never mind that it's destroying the planet, but that's another topic for another day. So anyway, so learn what you want to put into your body. You can look anything up on Google that I've just said here. Find out for yourself. Find out what you want, what works for you. But these are just some points to get you started because no one's going to look out for you but you. Okay, so now moving on to the second part of the title of this episode, and we're going to get our Stephen A. Smith on today. And that just means we're going to talk about anything and everything like he does on his podcast. He talks about anything. He goes on rants, he said. I heard him say on a podcast, he ain't going to just talk about sports on his podcast because when you go home, he's a person like anybody else. And when you go home, you don't just talk about what you talk about at work all day. So he talks about everything. And we're going to take a page from his book and right now talk about everything too from our perspective. So one thing, like in the past week or so, I saw was, well, a lot of stuff I see just pops up on YouTube when I have it on autoplay, like I've said before on the other episodes that we've done. But so one thing I saw was a podcast called, what's it called? It Is What It Is podcast. And so I was like, just listening. I wasn't like watching it, looking at the screen, but I was like, why does that sound like Cameron? He's a rapper from like the late 90s. I was like, why does that sound like Mace? He's a rapper from the 90s. And he used to like rap with like Sean Combs, Diddy, Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, Bad Boy. And I was like, I heard Cameron, I now know it was Cameron, say Mace, such as blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that is them. I was listening, and they had like a girl, like a woman on the podcast, and she didn't say much. So I'm just listening. Like this podcast was like 2 hours long. They talk about sports on it, and I think that if I remember correctly, they both used to play basketball or something. Maybe at like Rucker Park in New York or something like that. I don't really quite remember all the details, but I think they used to play basketball. So they talk a lot about basketball on this podcast. Anyway, so she's just sitting there, and she's like, I heard her like say one thing, and then they both talked for like an hour. But now, mind you, this is like a 2-hour podcast, and they each talked like half an hour, and she has only never said nothing like but one thing. And I'm like, she would make these little comments, like maybe 1 or 2 comments. She'd say something about a team, like something that had been in the news, and then say, What do you think about that? And then there they go, they talk for like a half an hour each. And I was like, okay, well, that's a little bit strange. I mean, why, like, you have this woman on here on a sports podcast and she gets to say nothing like that? That just reminded me of, like, how, how, like, I'll just say, like, disrespectful 90s, like, late, like, their era of rap was to women. Like, and I was like, okay, like, are we, like, reliving this again? Like, I don't know. But I've only seen one episode, so that's all I can say about that. Like, maybe she talks more on another episode, on other episodes, I don't know. But, so then I saw, not long after that. I don't know if it was after that, before that, but anyway, I saw the Transformers movie that just came out. And so I'm watching like the Transformers movie, like, and I never was really like into the Transformers cartoon when I was a kid. I was like, as soon as that music would come on, like, Transformers, more than Missy, I'd be like, okay, switch, time to change the channel. Like, no, thank you. But anyway, so but the movies I can kind of like watch a little bit more because of special effects and stuff. And like I said in like the first episode that we did when I was talking with someone about, we were talking about like movies we like and stuff. Like, if I watch something, it's gonna be real fake. So Transformers fits the bill. But anyway, so I'm watching Transformers, and so there's like a female Transformer, and she's like, but everyone, all the other Transformers in the movie, aside from one, okay, there's one who's also female, is like a bird. She's like this big, huge Transformer, and she's like, her transforming like options like match all the other ones who are like male Transformers. They're all like like big cars and like trucks or like these fast cars and stuff. So, but the female Transformer, the other like the only like other one who's like a regular one, she's like a moped. I'm like, okay, like what, like why in these two instances, these two things I saw, are they like trying to like play the women, like play the females in these two like pieces of entertainment? Like, why is she a moped? Like, I don't get that. Like, I mean, I guess she could maybe. I don't know how it works. I don't know if they can transform into whatever they want. But I was like, okay, she could have been something different than a moped, y'all. Like, y'all could have really given her something that like matched the other male transformers in the movie. So anyway, those are just like the two instances of something I saw and like the thoughts I had about that. But I will say that Anthony Ramos, who was like the leading character in the Transformers movie, because I had seen him like again, something that pops up on YouTube for me, like was like one of those episodes of like Live with Kelly and Mark, like that used to be like Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest, and now she does it with her husband Mark Consuelos or whatever. But anyway, so it popped up and he was like a guest on the show, which is why I said, oh, well, the movie came out today. Let me see if I, can see it or whatever. But and I just watched it online. I mean, I don't know. I think it was in the theater or whatever. I saw it online. But so anyway, but while he was in the interview, he came across as someone who like really just like showed up as himself, like stayed true to himself as a person. Because he was in an interview talking like he just came like directly off the street in Brooklyn and talked to them like he talked to anybody else, which I think is important because sometimes people get this idea that they have to behave a certain way, you have to act a certain way. I mean, yes, you can speak knowledgeably about the topic. You don't have to seem like you don't know nothing or know anything or you're not a smart person. But at the same time, you should be able to be yourself. Why? Because equity, equality is automatic. And that's what we're trying to get across on this podcast. It's like you don't have to not be you ever. So anyway, that's going to wrap that up for now. Just talking about a couple things, a couple items that were in the news and entertainment. But finally, as we kind of like put a button on this, Molly Shannon, who used to be a performer on Saturday Night Live, I saw the LA Times did like a comedy actors roundtable. She was on there, and there was a guy talking about how he's in a show, I guess, where he plays a bartender, and he's like, so he didn't really know how to be a bartender, I guess, as an actor. So he said he just like stands there and like cuts up limes and lemons for drinks. He saw someone else do it when they played a bartender, and just so anytime you see him like on the show, he's just trying to do something to keep himself busy and act like he's a bartender. And so she said, Molly Shannon said, that's funny. She's like, I find it funny when people do activities in a scene. She's like, when they do activities like while they're acting, and then they just are like doing stuff like other stuff while they're saying the words. And he's like, why? Because it's pretend. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm thinking like, yes, exactly, it's pretend. Like that would be like if you really think about it, like you're standing in your room, say you're like pretending to be a princess or something, and you're like saying these words of a princess, and you're like, okay, now let me put my crown on my head as I'm a princess today, and all you fellow countrymen, this, that, and the third, I'm putting my crown on my head, and now I'm going to walk like this and wave my hand a certain way. When really you're just supposed to be like you're saying these words as you're pretending. So I mean, but anyway, that I thought that was funny and kind of interesting, and it was exactly correct what he said. It is pretend. Let's not forget that all this stuff is pretend, which I think sometimes the lines get blurred between what is pretend and what is not. I mean, people who are acting are literally just people sitting in a room playing pretend, which is why they can do it, you can do it, anybody can do it. Whatever you want to do, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. So if you want to act, go ahead. They're playing pretend. If you want to write, go ahead. You write what you want to write. You can call yourself a writer. You don't have to wait for anyone else to give you any validation. You want to sing, child, please go ahead and sing. I mean, these marginal displays of talent that we see on a regular basis for people who are so-called singers, there are many people, as I've said before on this podcast, who would do the same. And they should be able to do it for no less than other people receive. Whoever thinks they're the judge on all these things, well, we will beg to differ. So, whatever it may be, whatever you want to do, you're a comedian, stand up in your living room and tell jokes, child. And there are people out there who are putting out this independent content, and don't think that you can't do it. You can do it too, whatever it may be, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about. If you have reactions to things like we do, or like I have had to things I've seen, turn on your video camera, get online and say it. You can do whatever you want to do. And the important thing will be, as we also have said in past videos, that we're starting the hashtag for people who do create independent content, create content that they deserve to have seen, just like anyone else in this world. Use the hashtag made by us too. That hashtag will be posted in the description of this video. If you'd like to see it for a reference, use it on your content. And then the people who are using this hashtag, we will all try to support each other's content, because as we've said before, if you change your attention, you redirect your attention to that hashtag, you will redirect the wealth, because people who receive more wealth and privilege that they already have or that they need, get that because of the audience that they have and the attention they receive. So we redirect the attention, we redirect the wealth. And on that note, before we get out of here, I just want to remind you of those 3 usual things that we remind you of at the end of every one of these Equal Value podcasts. And that is, number 1, you have exactly the same value as anyone else on this planet. Number 2, don't hate, participate. It's exactly as it sounds. It's that simple. Number 3, the key to solving inequity or inequality is not begging others to see you as equal. That's ridiculous. The key to solving inequality is reminding others that they are not more than equal. So again, on that note, thank you for listening. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube with the Equal Value Podcast channel so that you'll know when we drop a new episode, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.